And I just recall so vividly the things that didn't matter immediately. It didn't matter about what clothes I wore, about what I was eating that day, or what I was aspiring for. None of it mattered. All that mattered was the people around me. That's
Yes.
all that mattered. I didn't care what people thought anymore. Walking down the street, I didn't care. I could have walked down the street naked. I didn't. Just so everyone knows, I didn't. But I could have, because I really didn't care, because I knew what was truly valuable, and that was spending it's quality time with people, and it's seeing people develop. Our mission statement in our company is 5 words. It's to create success in people. And so that is internally, if with team members, that's externally clients, that's prospects, seeing them succeed. But it goes far wider than that. It's family, it's friends. I don't think there's anything more rewarding than seeing somebody grow and change and develop.
Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems, and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to Uncovered. I'm so excited. I've got a guy here that we've never met officially in person. We met quite a few years ago, and I saw this guy. He's quite an inspiration. And a person who can do pretty much anything he puts his mind to. And I see this guy on Facebook, very, very humble human, very brilliant at what he does. And I really am excited to find out and uncover you, Ryan. Welcome, Ryan Bowles, to the Uncovered podcast.
Jason, mate, it is an absolute pleasure and honor. And honestly, I feel humbled just hearing that. So look, thanks for having me. And I'm pumped just to jam out, because I truly respect you, and you've served and helped me through some of my dark valleys. So let's do it.
Oh, that's interesting. It's quite often, we've had moments where you've got a little bit depressed, and you're awesome. I love the fact that you're willing to post something that a lot of people don't post. Mental health is one of the hardest things to deal with, and you've called yourself out a few times, and I've just come in and just put a little bit of Jasonism in, and just a different spin on information.
Yeah, totally.
What did you get when I was sort of commenting back when you'd say you're having a hard time? Because I know all of the posts, and then there was Jason that was a little bit different comment.
Yeah. Well, I think first, whenever I seek or listen to advice, I've got to know where it comes from. So that's first and foremost. And I had a trust there with you, because I've seen the way that you uphold yourself online with people, the heart that it comes from. And so I guess what spoke to me was probably something, different to the common narrative that you will hear. And to lean into and ask the question. I remember very clearly asking the question, why is this anxiety or depressive feeling or melancholy state, approaching me or surrounding me? Why is it there, and how is it serving me? And definitely at a time when, I needed it. And it was great to press into that, and definitely, search for some of those answers that no one really asks you, those types of questions. Yeah.
No, and it's really common, because we, especially in the world of creating business, we're put in a place where we have to be upbeat. We have to be prepared to show our show, while sometimes we don't want to get up out of bed, and we're like, this is all too hard.
Dude, it's so true.
We can't tell anyone that. I do.
Yeah.
I'm very transparent. I'll say I had a day today, and it was very, very hard, and I'll melt down in front of my academy members, and they just go, wow, this guy actually is not separated from me.
He's just like me.
We all have our problems, and I think as leaders, it's very difficult for us to pull ourselves into that place where we worry maybe that everyone will leave if we're, emotional or we're struggling.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting balance, especially as you grow in business or influence. If we just use the word influence for a moment, I guess the balance of perception versus what is really shared as reality. And so we know that the stupid perception of like the Lambos and all of the rest that's out there, like we're not talking about that, but more so the perception of like me as the entrepreneur or the coach, or me as the person that shows up as the perfect husband or wife, in and around our clients or prospects, even more so, for that ideal of the perfect perception. And it's just not true. Everyone knows it, but not many people are talking about it. So that's why
right.
I resonate with you.
Yeah, I love that, mate. So Ryan, tell us a little bit. You did this cool post. I've seen a couple of your posts are amazing, really engaging. You're one of those people who actually gets people to engage. You wrote this cool post about yourself and all the things that you've done. And I sat there and went, oh my God, this guy is ridiculously talented. And you also have an amazing beard. And I commented on the beard because I can't grow a beard like you. And I was just like, tell us about your history, like what you've been like as a person and what really makes you tick as a human.
So cool. I love the question. And it's really funny reflecting back on, writing that type of post. And even I'd just recommend for everyone, if you want to go check it out on my profile, search a couple of posts down, you'll find it. There's one about how many jobs and careers and roles and things that got me to where I am. And then the second was probably the, 50 different random things about me. I'd recommend for everyone as a cathartic process to reflect on those two things. What got you here and where did the journey start? And so a quick, share there. I think my first paid job was officially from my parents, like washing cars and vacuuming cars. We had a car rental and sales and service, couple of businesses, and I'd get $1 per wash and $1 per vacuum until I realized my time was worth more than that and I had to negotiate a higher fee. And so all of those things that lead to where you are, it's really special to look back and go, what's made me who I am? And so to give some backstory, I give full credit to sort of two areas of my life. My parents, I couldn't have asked for better mentors in my world. We grew up in sort of the marketing space of the 80s and 90s. And I saw them leading rooms of people, coaching and leading people in their home from stage, all over the place. And, our bookshelves were filled with Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, all of the best.
Oh, wow.
Cassette tapes, just full of cassette tapes. And where I'm sitting right now, this is my dad's old office. And so he used to run all of his operations from here until he died in 2020. And so I give so much credit and just honor and respect to my parents. And I know that is not the case for the majority. I'm making a generalization here, but the majority of people these days of divorced families or tough upbringings, I really didn't have either of those two things. So I'm so grateful for that. That's a very daily conscious gratitude. It also presents other challenges, which maybe we can chat about as well. So that's first and foremost. I didn't choose to be born into the family that I was. I call it absolute blessing. And secondly is to God. Like I give all glory to Jesus and what he's done in my life and the absolute, saving grace and redemption that I've seen time and time again. Because I know, I'm just a screw up like the rest of us, trying to make my way and serve as many people as I possibly can. So I'm grateful for his grace as well. So that's the two. Third thing around all of that is, the friends and the network, the community, the family, and more recently, my incredible wife, Kaylee, as well, which has been the last 3 years of our journey.
That's fantastic. And I think this is really important. I want to touch on the second one right here. A lot of people struggle with God and Jesus and that sort of thing. Just the last 12 months, I've had 4 people say to me, I'm the closest they're ever going to get to Jesus as a
Wow.
person. And I shat myself. I was just like, oh my God, here's this icon. And they looked at me, and as a person who has that level of integrity that he would have had.
Hmm.
A lot of people have, skull and crossbone around, God and Jesus. And I
Sure.
don't go to church. What I do is I actually have Jesus as my avatar. And
Yeah, I love that.
I think every day, and I think, well, how would he be,
Hmm.
and how would he approach? And I just think that way. So he's my avatar that I focus on to get the
Sure.
best out of me as a human being.
So
Um,
good. Yeah, there's a lot in that. You can look at it from so many angles, right? I like
mm,
one of my thoughts comes to mind in regards to, because you're using the word avatar,
yeah,
and we both know Todd Herman, and he wrote the book Alter Ego, and
yeah,
how powerful those alter egos can be. And that you want to model, we want to model ourselves off, top leaders, and I don't think there's any better than Jesus, whether you believe in the death and resurrection or not,
yeah,
but the historic life that was documented around him, no one could put a finger on him in terms of slandering someone, cussing someone out,
yeah,
sinning, taking all of the things of this world that all of us have desires towards. He was able to refrain from them. So I think that's really powerful. And then I think, secondly, the conversation, whether it's skipped around or it seems taboo, or people are maybe afraid to talk about some of the deeper issues. I've just been having conversation after conversation of people that are so open to going, what else is out there? Are we
mm,
really just a speck of dust on this earth for a short period of time, and then we don't take anything with us, we leave it all behind, then what? And I was listening to Zig Ziglar, funnily enough, just recently. He's always in my ear. And he was talking about, when he was alive, early 2000s, that a study was done back then recently in the States. And something like 90% plus of people admitted they thought there was a God,
yeah,
something out there that had created them. And so he came to the conclusion, why would I leave God out of my business and communication if most of my audience, being America, believe there is one? And so I
mm,
just think that's fascinating. And I wouldn't say we would be too far off from America based on, all of the trends and such in the West. And so I just think as well, like, if that's the case, why aren't we talking about this and having more of a conversation? So
yeah. And I think
I'm
this is
down
really
for it.
important. And this is why I love you as a human, because I look at you and I see you stepping into that type of human being and thinking about, people, humanity. Like, you're one of those people. I love your posts because you're never putting other people down to bring you up. And a lot of people in the coaching industry go, I'm going to have a go at this. I'm going to have a go at that. I'm going to pick on this by me. And you don't do that. You're looking,
Well,
you're in your own lane.
I try not to.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
I think you do a really good job. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
thanks, mate.
challenging because we're taught to put a little bit of a rumble in the fire in marketing. And it's challenging for me because I can't do that. I can't go, okay, that person's bad, this person's doing all of these things wrong. We
Sure.
all have problems and mistakes that we make. I
Yep.
think I think the challenge for us as we go through and escalate our value financially is, who do we become along the way on that journey? And a lot of people can be quite egotistical when they hit, let's say,
Mm,
seven figures, and they're
mm.
going through this, and then I see a lot of people going, I need to protect that seven-figure income, so I'm going to put the six-figure people down. And it
Sure.
can be challenging to actually not do that in this
I
world.
hear you. Totally. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and yeah, egotistical. There's a struggle probably in there that, yeah, protection, but also maybe they're not achieving what they want to achieve. But then again, that perception needs to remain the same, cannot waver publicly. Totally. But I mean, some of the people we're connected with, I've seen recently some huge shifts in terms of pulling it right back to the start and rebuilding,
Mm,
rebuilding who they are and what
yeah.
they believe and what they are aspiring towards. And The last couple of years has probably posed more questions on self than any other period in time, because nothing has gripped the whole earth for that long a period that every single person was aware of and made to question, what do I really value? What's valuable, if not just doing work and making money every day.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really important point here for you, because what I've seen, I'm a little bit stalkery with everybody. What I've
So
seen with you as a person, you have some amazing values. And what I see, you tell me if I'm wrong, is a person who really values connection with humans. Like your greatest asset is bringing people together to make them better. Tell us a little bit about your plans, like what you do to do that. How do you bring people together to make them better and to bring their magic on board?
Yeah, look, I mean, I just wholeheartedly believe that life is done better together, 100%. And I've tried it on my own, man, it sucks, and in regards to bringing people together, I wouldn't say I'm anywhere close to being 100% at it or perfect, but yeah, I just know that like hearing stories, sharing experiences, like we were talking about, literally, as to I've had a crappy day, and sharing that, and someone goes, oh wow, they relate, or an inspiring story, and that brings someone up a level. I've seen it. I've been a part of so many different communities, teams, networks, groups, programs, you name it. And the best of the best are the ones that have the strongest community. And that's because there is a support network. You're not reliant on one person. You're not reliant on all people, but that saying of rising tide lifts all ships is true. Is totally true. So yeah, that's some thoughts there. I don't know if that answers the question.
I would love to know what you do. Let the listeners
what I do
know how you do your magic, because
okay,
you help lots of businesses make really good money with your magic to get people to actually engage, especially on Facebook. Like you put a post out and everyone goes tick 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 tick. I watch you do it, and there's so many comments on your posts, and you teach and share people how to get engagement. How do you do it? How did you figure out how to do that too?
Cool. All right. Well, backstory first, to give everyone some context. I can remember, and I wonder if those listening, I can remember the first time I had an interaction with the internet in the late 90s, when my friend, or maybe my cousin, it was very similar time, connected me on MSN, like Messenger chat, and there were these chat rooms, and like you could just talk to someone else somewhere else in the world. And I'm like, we're sitting side by side, like typing away, and you type this thing like ASL, which meant what's your age, what's your sex, and where do you live, right? And so you type that, and someone would type back, and you're like, this person's in America. Like, how are we talking to this person? And so like, I've been online, I've grown up in that generation since then. And that was like, for me, just this mind-boggling moment of like, how am I talking to someone through a computer screen on the other side of the world? It picked up pretty quickly from there. But from that point, MySpace was birthed, late 90s, 2000s. I had a MySpace page. In my 10th year of school, or 11th year of school, I joined a band. And so we had a MySpace page, right? And we put out bulletins and post music and content. So very early 2000s, I was creating content initially. Like that's where it all started. And then Facebook came around, and I was like, hell no, no one's going to go to that platform. And then, I was too young to understand sort of the inner psychology of, imitation and mimesis and a few of the other bits that make these platforms so highly addictive or engaging. Anyway, Facebook came around, got on Facebook. YouTube then formed, got on YouTube. Instagram was formed, got on Instagram. And so like, this is now spanning 22 years plus of online interaction with people. And so just to give everyone the context, it has not been just this quick, oh, I just post this thing and I get engagement or responses. So hopefully that sets the scene. Underlying all of that, the key to all communication, I believe, is questions. The better you ask a question, the better the response will be. And also the person who asks the question remains in control of the conversation.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
So those two things there have been a bedrock that people can just take to the races all day long. You know, learn to ask great questions of people that they are interested in. It can't be, you know, doesn't matter if you're interested in the question. If no one else cares about it, you know, no bingo. So yeah, learning to ask great questions. And that's whether you're online, but also in person. I mean, birthday parties, Christmas, you know, meetings, coffee, just learning to ask great questions. When you're shopping for something, I think that is what sets the scene for conversation and community.
Yeah, I think this is really important, guys, is that when we do a question, we're actually caring about the other person's answer. And a lot of the time people make statements. And a statement actually says, I own the rules, I own the room. What Ryan's actually saying, listeners, is that you're still in control because you're asking the question and the person actually is focusing on, hey, this guy is asking something really much deeper. I want to see what your answer is because you matter.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of a question. And then if you like, obviously when, you know, from the start of the podcast, when I asked the question to you, how is it serving you? Instead of you'll be okay, Ryan, I'm thinking of you, which is the last thing you really, you know, you like that. But when someone pops another question out to say, well, what is it about? You know, because I remember one of my comments to you is depression holds your depth and your connection. It was a statement that made you question too. So if you've got a statement that's a completely different eye popper, that gives something that's going to make the person question their reality as well. So statements are great as long as they're left fielders that make someone go, shit, I didn't even think that way before.
Totally. You know, and as you're saying that, the other thing that came to mind after you'd prompted me with that question was a parallel train of thought, if we're talking about God and faith as well. So the question you posed to me in regards to, well, why or how is this anxiety serving you, serving me? And then second of all, a huge learning that I had through the process was that so many people will cry out to God in moments of, you know, distress and, you know, or a car accident. All of a sudden, I cry out to God, help, 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 help me get out of this and whatever. But flipping that question on its head, parallel with why and how is this serving me, but going, God, take me through this rather than take me out of it. Take me through it, because that's where the learning is made. You know, no one got to the top without learnings, lessons, and losses along the way. And if that's our expectation, when challenge meets us, we won't build the foundations to grow. And I saw your live video around resilience as well.
Right. Yeah.
And just that thought as balancing what resilience looks like. Yeah. And it's not ignorance to the fact that, you know, I'm tough, I'll get through it, I'll be okay. But how you go through it will make all of the difference. So they were two real keys last year when I was very challenged by what I was walking through.
Yeah, and look, this is really important. We've got a couple of points here that I just want to raise. We're talking about a guy, 22 years experience, right? So a lot of people don't know this from marketing. All we hear is these pop-up shops, especially right now, pop-up shops. Here I am. I'm going to give you this thing. And you know, I've been in the biz for, 21 years doing stuff. And I watch and I see how people are presenting themselves, but I also know the background and I see the post and I know the person, and they're completely contradictory. And so what you want to understand, listeners, is we're talking about a guy with amazing experience of engagement, right? It didn't just happen overnight. It happened through a huge level of experience. And there's not many people like you, Ryan, in lots of ways on Facebook at the moment. A lot of people are just saying, I want to be a coach. Here I am. A lot of people are having a bit of a laugh at life coaches who are 20, saying, here, I want to be a life coach. I'm 20 years old. They don't have much life experience, and fair enough. It's logical. Why would you go and see a 20-year-old life coach?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Unless you were 10.
That's right, unless you're 10, right? So here I am, I'm 50. I help people with all that personal development. I've had some really difficult times in my life and experiences that I can know I can help. And with you, with your engagement, that is actually what makes the big difference. And it's the engagement and then the resilience and knowing how to walk through, because you've got that ability to engage. You've got a couple of ways. You've got your beautiful wife, you know, you've got your community, you've got God, and you've got you. And you obviously have something about you that shows that you have strong resilience to go through things and rather than run away from things. And that's the beauty of what God's designed to do. It's not like to go, okay, let's save me. Let's go through this and find out this journey together, to find it from the inside and learn what we're here to learn, rather than run away. And hopefully if we pray to God, everything's going to be okay. Because essentially the praying part's great. It's what you do on the back end for what you hear is more important than that part. So, you know, I take people through meditations and get them in a space where they can get right connected, and they go, oh my God, I feel great right now, but I'm not. And I tell them that's not the important part. It's what you do after that matters. Because I can get people into an amazing state very, very quickly. That's not the real deal. It's what you do on the journey that matters, right?
Otherwise you'd have to stay in that meditative state 24/7.
That's right.
And that's not applicable or plausible either.
No, and it doesn't work. So this is where I've seen, you know, a lot of people doing, you know, in quotes, spirituality or personal development, and they get stuck because they don't have the ability to track themselves forward and make a life of themselves to make it work.
Yeah, and something that we've been coming back to strongly just recently is the idea of needing to be before we can become, you know, and we all know what that looks like. Be before we can, we have to do before we can have. But I think it's so just gets skipped over the be part. Yeah, what do we need to do to get the have part? You know, and then have usually just looks like material objects to most people. But what does have really mean? What does wealth really mean if we're talking about wealth? You know, in terms of our health, our family, our connections, our friendships, and yes, some level of prosperity or security, absolutely, to be able to provide or to give to charity, etc. But yeah, the being, and I'm guilty of it, skipping over the being, you know, or thinking that, as you mentioned, sure, I've got some experience along the way, but thinking, I've maybe done some of the hard yards. Now I just do. But it's been a big reminder to me recently, coming back to the being. What am I working on up here that's going to allow me to step into with full energy and joy and compassion the things that aren't always the nicest to be doing, the mundane, the average, the daily.
And these listeners are the parts where my wheelhouse comes in, because I've had a lot of people who have come and found me, Ryan, for one reason. They've done their have, and something's broken, and a wheels come off, and I never advertised. People would just go, this guy, and I would always turn the unturnable around, right? And the reason why is because I go straight to the B. Why and how and what's on your inside that's ticking? Because a lot of the guys that I'm seeing who are really good motivators, really able to do the do, they're missing something. They're missing that you could call it that connection to God or spirit or whatever it is. And these guys, these are the intangible things that we're all really looking for ultimately.
I agree.
Is a state, right?
Yeah.
And you can't get that from a KPI. You can't get that from a win in quotes.
Yeah.
That's a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Right? That's very, very different to a state where someone comes and sees you and they tell you you're the biggest prick in the world and you're okay with that. You're completely calm.
Yeah.
And they tell you that the greatest person in the world, and you're completely calm and you're resonant with your state, that you
Absolutely.
are not reliant on that outside world to give you a juju or a drop. You're able to be completely in your state of who you are when you're getting feedback. And a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah. When I hear what you're putting down, just to me that resonates as like, when you're home alone, like, who are you when you're home alone? Who do you aspire to truly be when, like you said, when the world's against you or for you? Who do you truly aspire to be, or who do you see like always living out a life that you go, wow, that's inspiring, or that's powerful? I think that's deep down probably the question that most people don't, they just avoid. It takes too much time. There's a cost to seeking that out. But yeah, I mean, sure, I've done a lot of that, but more recently I'm just like going back to that, revisit it. And I think it's I think it's like maybe a doctor or a dentist who needs to continually upskill in their practice, or a surgeon. There's new technology available, there's new methods, there's smarter strategies. And I think that's the way, I'm starting to address the mind as well, to go back and go, wow, like the world is moving, it seems, I don't know if you agree, so much faster than it ever has.
Sure is.
And so how much are we going back and analyzing the questions and the limiting beliefs and the doubts, because we're just going along at the speed of light now, or almost, right? Soon things will be the speed of light. And what's being left behind, what sort of garbage is just building up that we're not clearing out along the way? And so, yeah, I'm having fun in that space now, especially compared to a year ago when we were chatting, because it's pretty much a year on.
Wow.
Yeah, around this time that I started to go, whoa, something's not right here. And so a year on, and I'm back to what I feel like is my true self, what I was born to be, and who I'm here to serve. And I'm really excited about that. And I think also in that, reminding myself and people listening that, there is no future without hope. And so having hope, no matter how little it could be in the future, holds so much power in the present. And I'm not sure if that, was Tony or Zig or one of the greats. Hope in the future provides power in the present. And that's been something that's been firm for me for a long time, but you can get lost along the way. And so I'm back.
Yeah, that's great, Ryan. And I think that's so important. And this is what I love about religion, what religion does, because it actually keeps you in hope when people feel hopeless, right? It's a great community that brings hope and faith together when everything is feels like it's down. And if people don't have something that they can go to, whether it's a community or something, that's when people can lose hope. I've been a person that I've had so many people tell me, if I didn't meet you, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
Right. This has been something that I've heard so many times.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and you came along and you resuscitated my life. So I gave hope. Right.
Yeah.
And I've had, a lady in our academy who had a big tumor in a womb. Wow. And it was gone after doing the work.
Wow.
And it was all psychological, right? All stuff that was sitting in the psyche that, guys, if you don't take notice, long-term cancers and mental health, they fester over time. They don't just appear.
Yeah, this is so fascinating. And I so agree with it. And it's so not taught or understood, probably because of big pharma. I'm not sure, obviously, but we've got a very qualified, experienced cancer research scientist inside of our program, right? And And he left all of that because of what he saw in terms of, and cancer is very close to me. I've lost multiple people to cancer, and not I don't want to, I don't even know what to say there. People, I think everyone has been affected by cancer. However, we just don't know behind the scenes, like what the motives and objectives are. But I 100% agree on this train of thought that our mind, what it conceives, leads to health or not as well. And sometimes, and that's not even somebody's fault. They've been a product of the environment that they've been subject to,
100%.
and so it's not their fault. But yeah, what you're touching on just there, I was just like, man, 100%. And that's why it's so incredibly powerful for me to remind myself, how are my thoughts on a daily, on a moment to moment basis? How can I quickly get out of some of those negative thoughts, or those thoughts that trap you in a space, because it is not healthy. And we don't understand. We just don't understand the effects long term, because we don't see long term as humans.
No, that's right. Because you and I are looking at each other now, and we don't look unhealthy.
I hope.
neither is look unhealthy, I hope.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If you guys watch this, you can watch this as a video
Judge
on
us.
YouTube as well.
Judge us all you like.
Yeah, judge us all you like. We don't look unhealthy, but under the covers, we don't know what's happening. I'm very, very sensitive. So I can actually feel my body where it's out inside. And I've got some issues inside my body right now that I'm working with. Yeah. And I've had that all my life. I had something that goes wrong, and it's a psychology that I'm not working with, because I'm hypersensitive compared to most people. So I feel it.
Well, stress is a great example, right? I think and for me recently, that has been a pretty potent reminder, because I wouldn't say in my 30 something years now, like, I wouldn't say I've felt too much stress, and I generally deal with it. I'm like, let's just attack this thing, go after it. I'm not a fan of confrontation and conflict. So like, sure, my gut will feel that, and I'll want to fix that up as quickly as possible. But stress recently, I broke my back 12 years ago. Didn't really get it treated all that well. And I thought, I'm a young guy, my body's strong, just ignorant to the fact of I've been playing professional sport for most of my life as well, and putting my body under stress in that sense. And then, just feeling the stress come up in the body. But like, where does that come from? It's not come from my body being under stress. I sit and stand in an office. Like, I'm not, slaving away on tools like I once was till my hands bled and my back hurt. It's nothing like that anymore. But stress is that immediate, could be immediate or compounded effect of what has come out of the mind. And for me, that's like, oh, wow, that is a short-term, somewhat of a short-term example of affecting our body in a health sense. But maybe if someone, smoking a cigarette, they don't think 30 years down the tracks, it's just one today, or one an hour or whatever it is. But yeah, I know that we're very short-sighted as humans.
Yeah, we are. And look, you do something really cool for your body that I've seen on some of your posts, which is rock climbing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say ice cream.
No, rock climbing. So you get out and, jump out in nature and challenge yourself. And this is actually a metaphor for life, guys, is that, you do something that's actually very, very challenging for your body. And at the same time, it's actually equates to the type of person that you are. You challenge life and you win, and you get up the rock face. And it's really cool when I see posts like that with you, and I was like, that's the type of person who's going to climb that mountain, because even your relaxation can be, let's climb the mountain sometimes. It's so healthy for our bodies to actually do something, because you spoke about cigarettes, and then we're speaking about, we have an ice cream every now and then. I get that, but there's other parts where, you look after your mental state by doing something that's not your business. Yeah. And does that help you a great deal to be challenged when things are challenging?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't want to rock climb when I started. My best mate, pulled me along, and he's been great at that. He's been someone that has challenged me for things and to seek discomfort when I haven't. He's far more adventurous than I am, and all the rest. And so, back August 2018, they led a expedition or a training ground in the back country of New Zealand, South Island, far out from Queenstown, and they were training for polar expeditions. So they hold some world records in Antarctica, a couple down there, his father-in-law, and then also they hold records up in the north as well. And they use New Zealand as a training ground. And so I went on this training expedition to survive in the snow, and to protect yourself and learn to survive out there. And so it was something I did not want to do. I wanted to do it, but I didn't really want to do it, right?
Yeah.
And -15 first day, blizzard, trying to set a tent up when you can't see in front of yourself. And then through the night, you've got to get out of your tent, check the tent so it doesn't cave in with the snow that's built up. Just wild stuff. So he's the guy that got me into rock climbing as well, funnily enough. And rock climbing was something I hated. I'm like, I'm not good at this. This is hard. Like, I don't like, my hands being super dirty and all the rest that comes with it. I'm pretty clean. But it really flipped for me when I took like the analogy of like this being a challenge that is far harder than business. And if I overcome it, business becomes, nothing. Challenges with people are really nothing. Like when you are face to face with a 40, 50 foot drop, and you are well above the bolt in terms of trying to get to the next spot, and you're holding on by fingertips, and the fear of falling is fighting your fear of, or like your accomplishment, your goal or your success. Something else happens up there, and you're the only one who can deal with it. They can shout and encourage you and guide you from down on the ground as much as they want, but you are the one that has to make a move, right? And depending on the move that you make will determine whether you fall and you learn and hopefully don't hurt yourself, or you succeed. And so rock climbing's definitely been that for me in going, this is way harder than business. I need to seek out the discomfort and the challenge and the struggle. And it definitely helped me grow over the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, I love that. And there's a little piece in there that I can see how you think and your business, helping people create, amazing Facebook groups so they can monetize them and make them work. And you provide an amazing structure to show people how to do that. And then the thing here, listeners, is that it's like what Ryan's saying. Ryan can give you all the tactics, all the strategy, but at the end of the day, if you're not willing to put your fingers on that rock and try and get up, you can blame Ryan for it not working, or you can go, you know what, I didn't actually pull up and pull up on the rock face to actually put the effort in. And when it comes down to business, you can have coaches, amazing coaches like Ryan, show you amazing tactics and ways to get people to engage. If you don't do anything, you're your own worst enemy. And we think, I'm paying Ryan for this service. He should just be able to give me all the things that I need, so then it's all fine.
And I wish it was that way, but you know what you're saying there, and to use that rock climbing analogy further, and if people haven't rock climbed, I'm sure they can imagine what it's like when you're holding rock, or you're afraid of heights. You can, when you're at that level, be one reach away from the perfect hold. Like you're on these tiny little holds, but then there could just be what's known as a jug in rock climbing terms. A jug. When you hold that thing, you feel security. You can just, rip yourself right up on it. But the thing that could stop you is your mind. You might have all of the strength, the flexibility, the technique, and it's only one reach away, but your mind literally holds you back. And so, going back to that, I can give you the tools and show you the path, but ultimately what things come back to is what's inside. What's between the two ears, and what are you working on to strengthen that part? Because then you'll see people with rock climbing that have a strong mindset, and they'll fall over and over and again, but they will learn faster than every other person on the rock face, no doubt.
Yeah, I love that. And so when we're thinking about that, I think you're, in my opinion, from what I saw, your top 50 things that you do, very fast learner, right? And that ability, I'd love the listeners to know a little bit about what it is that you do specifically that actually helps businesses grow. Can you tell the listeners your magic, your uniqueness that helps businesses become more able to scale their finances and do what they're here to do?
Yeah, well, the first thing I thought I'd mention is what's up on my wall. Just out of shot there, it says fail often, succeed sooner.
Yeah.
And that's discomfort. And I can't honestly say that I seek, just going after things as quick as some people. I definitely am considered, and I weigh up options and do my due diligence on things. But yeah, I've definitely known what I don't want to do. And so when I'm in something pretty quickly, I know if it's right or wrong for me, whether that was dating different girls, or whether that was starting businesses or forming partnerships. That's why those things haven't lasted super long periods of time. It's because pretty quickly I'm like, this isn't right, I'm out. I'm not going to weigh up sitting in here the opportunity cost. If I push this out 2-3 years, I'm not going to waste my time. So that's just that piece there. In terms of our coaching program, so the way that we do that is by helping people build genuine, authentic audiences, and then helping them put their offer in front of those people and create messaging in casual ways, because we're in a sophisticated marketplace. It's 2022. People are aware of sales. Advertising is more than it ever has been. We get pitched millions of times a day, whether it's commercials, radio, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. And so I learned a long time ago that business should be fun, but there's also a casual way to do that. And I think us as Aussies, Aussies have a naturally casual nature. It's very different to maybe some of the rest of the world. But yeah, we help people build communities, get their offer right and in front of the right people, and allow them to warm that audience up towards wanting to seek out their opportunity. And so that's how we do it. And yeah, we have a lot of fun in that community space of how can you help your people engage more for the right reason, not just out of manipulation or desire for money, but to see them really be impacted, no matter who it is that you serve.
Yeah, and listen to this, guys. Like the number of times that I'm a business owner, so at least 2 or 3 times a week, I get a message request from a person saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this for you," and they don't even say, "Hey, Jason," pretty much. They don't know my business.
Totally. Or they get your name wrong.
Yeah, they're going to promise that they're going to do all of these things for you. I get this all the time. And when you're under stress and under the pump and you've got your brain going, I need something, you could get hoodwinked by a human who's just manipulating the crap out of you. Absolutely. To get your money instead of actually want to help you. So I always go, hey, you don't even know me. So I just find them entertaining. I just don't even listen. I've had another one, like this guy has messaged me 3 times now. He messaged me yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't respond in April. I didn't respond in May. And I didn't respond. And I'm not going to respond from yesterday's one. And I sit there and go, I find it amazing, like absolutely amazing that this guy has such tenacity. I'm not responding, but that guy does not give a shit. He wants to see if I'm in the duress part of my brain that desperately needs him. And he's waiting for that moment. So he's just pressing the button, waiting for like that Ryan Bowles moment this time last year to go, he might be in that position. I'm going to keep poking him. And he might respond at the time when we're at our most vulnerable.
Yes, 100%. And hey, all credit to him for the tenacity, right? And I do give credit to these guys and girls that are out there just hustling in that regard. And that's cool. That's definitely a strategy, and I'll definitely say it works. But I wouldn't say you'll be attracting your ideal audience or people that are going to come with you on the journey for a lifetime. So it's not the way we do it, and I'm totally cool with them doing their thing, because I think it only strengthens the genuine, authentic side of selling, which is truly serving.
Yeah, and I think this is really important, listeners. That truly serving is the key. Is that we're all in a business to make finance, right? That's important.
The
I
purpose.
didn't do that. Like when I was doing my business, being in alternative health, it was always like, I'm just here to help. Money didn't matter to me. I never had
Sure.
thoughts about it. And that's the problem with a lot of health businesses, because we just want to help, and then money comes, but that's not the reason why I started business in 2001. I started business to serve, and I didn't think money was important. Then I had to I met some people, and they opened my eyes to going, if you value your money a little bit more, you actually might make a little bit more of an impact. And I was like,
I hear it
oh,
all the
really?
time. Yeah.
I felt like the
All the
biggest dick,
time.
you know?
Yeah.
Felt
It's
so
that
stupid.
I just want to help people. I'm not concerned about the money. I think that's more so, one, understanding the purpose of business is to make a profit, but two, it's probably something underlying in terms of denial, or not facing up to the true fact that maybe if your business wasn't making money, you'd feel more of a failure, rather than probably the opposite, which you're saying you just want to serve people, but you're saying the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. They're exactly the same, right?
But in the wrong order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mum was a business owner. She's a 7-figure business owner. She's been doing 7
What a
figures
weapon.
a long time, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up with going to my mum's hairdressing salon, which turned into 12. I think now she has 7. She's just reduced now because she's just a little bit older. She's still working rings over young people as far as hours go.
I love that.
And so what this comes down to is knowing the balance between serving and financial reward for it, and knowing how to get that right. And so when you get a person who really wants to serve and has the ethics and wants to actually serve and scale, you've actually got to blend the two. Would you agree? Making sure you get that right.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think scale is a buzzword. People don't know how to set true goals and understand what it is that they truly value and want. I think, the way that we work as humans is imitation, and it's so easy with social media. It's just, absolutely blown it out of the water as to how we compare to others. And that's how we set things for ourselves, because we've got all these models in front of us, and we go, oh, we want the Lambo, or we want this, and we need the huge house that we don't use 4 rooms of. And, all of those things are set up because we're seeing it so constantly in front of our face, but without really asking, what truly do I need in order to live a life that's fulfilling and purposeful? And then how do I actually set goals towards that, rather than all we hear is, 7-figure business, et cetera, et cetera. But like 7 figures, things change very quickly in terms of that. Like, what's your profit margin look like? How much team are you now carrying? What's your expenses? There's so much there that when people reach that stage, maybe they're not in the most profitable, healthy spot that they imagined when they saw a 7-figure, revenue line. So I think getting back to understanding and identifying value and purpose in life, setting goals around that. And to be honest, we don't need too much more. There's studies done on like what level of personal income people need to be completely satisfied and happy. And it's not too much more. Correct me if I'm wrong, around 80,000 or more. Or is it 120? I'm not sure. It's somewhere around there. It's in that bracket. That much. Yeah, it's not that much. And so depending on how you want to do it, you can do that with a very lean, team that's abroad, and everyone can really benefit from it. Or you can do it solo, and you can do it that way as well. But when you start stepping up further than that, people don't understand the complications that come with it, which wasn't part of their original plan or their original goals. So, anyway, a bit of a rant, but I think it's, very prevalent at the moment, and it's only going to spread further because of social media, which is a blessing and a curse in that regard. Sure, we use it to serve the person and to attract people that we can serve, but then also you can get sucked in so easily as well. And so got to be very aware and conscious of where your eyes and your ears and your time is being spent.
100%. I was talking to a guy in the academy yesterday about making sure he's following his own lane rather than looking at the lane of everybody else.
Agreed.
And we all need to know how to do that really well and figure out, as you said, and that comes back to that being state, like what do you really want as opposed to what are you following that you think you want? Because the number of times where I've had, people, I know a guy who had his brother die, and quite often I've been in groups and then they go, "Hey Jay, I just need to talk to you." I'm like, "Okay, you've not talked to me before," but they've seen me and they go, "Hey Jay, my brother's died," and everything the wheels fell off because all of what he thought he wanted all disappeared.
Yeah, wow.
In that moment, because some catastrophe happened, and then it's a reset. It's like, what do you really want?
Totally.
And I gave him this was the biggest, scariest question I gave him. What if you couldn't do what you did now? What if it was all gone and you couldn't do it? Everything just disappeared. Where would you be? Would you be happy? And he went completely white because he just went, "Oh my God, that's a question that if there was nothing that you were doing and would you be okay with yourself?" And most people would be white around that because we are built on what we do rather than who we are. And that's a big challenge in that. And so we've got to bring both of those to the table to create happiness. So our doing becomes a being and our being becomes a doing. And if we don't do that, we're screwed. Not.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've faced those questions along the way. It definitely humbles you, and you start to assess what do I truly value. When I lost my dad in a very traumatic, instantaneous accident. The night before we were having dinner as a family. The next day I get a call to say, I think he's been in an accident, and it was all over. And you very quickly, and I just recall so vividly, the things that didn't matter immediately. It didn't matter about what clothes I wore, about what I was eating that day, or what I was aspiring for. None of it mattered. All that mattered was the people around me. That's all that mattered. I didn't care what people thought anymore. Walking down the street, I didn't care. I could have walked down the street naked. I didn't, because everyone knows I didn't. But I could have, because I really didn't care, because I knew what was truly valuable, and that was spending it's quality time with people, and it's seeing people develop. Our mission statement in our company is 5 words. It's to create success in people. And so that is internally, if with team members, that's externally clients, that's prospects, seeing them succeed, but it goes far wider than that. It's family, it's friends. I don't think there's anything more rewarding than seeing somebody grow and change and develop. And so I know why you're in the field and line of work that you're in, and that's why it feels like we've known each other for years and hung out a bunch. But the day will come.
100%. I'm looking forward to catching up with you physically, both you and Carly. I really want to thank you for jumping on Uncovered too. Is there one thing that you could give people, like a bit of inspo around, business and exposure, that you can just share our listeners? Because I really believe, listeners, that you need to get onto this guy, because there's a lot of sharks out there, and I believe this guy's a whale. And what I mean by that metaphorically is a whale actually holds purpose. They're kind and they're generous. They're the most beautiful mammals of the sea. And this guy has a great purpose, which is his business, his tagline, which is to help people make them better every day and build their businesses. So thank you so much. What's one thing you can give us today? One squeeze of your magic.
The first thing that came to mind I'll share is be authentic.
Yeah.
That's it. Be authentic. People can see through all of the crap, these days. And so you can't be someone else. There's no one on this planet like you. And you were created for a purpose and called for a purpose. And so be authentic in that. But find the right people to support you along the way as well, and make wise decisions in channeling that, whichever way that is. If you want to grow a business, if you want to grow a family, if you want to grow in your spirituality, your faith, find the right people to be in your corner, and through that, just continue to show up being authentic. That's what I'd say.
I love that. And you see, when we're looking here and we're talking about an amazing business owner, and we're really talking about much more and the more important things in life, listeners. So Ryan, thank you so much for giving me your time. I know time is really, really valuable. And listeners, I hope you got something out of this. And I really implore you, if you're a business owner and you want some help on Facebook to grow, on all the channels that can actually help make your business work, come and find Ryan. I'll put all the details up so you can find him, and find the authentic leaders, because we need more Ryans in this world to actually show up and find the whales instead of the sharks. And this man, I know 100% is a whale. Is here for a big purpose. He's here to help people grow. And he is actually one of the nicest human beings. And that's what makes me tick, is my first calling. When I look for someone, the first thing I'm looking at is, are they nice? That's actually why I picked you to get some help, right? Are they nice first? Do they have the magic second? Nice first is authenticity, and you own it in spades.
Thanks, mate. It's been refreshing and a blessing to just hang out for an hour. So thanks for having me on.
So listeners, if you like this podcast, I'd love it if you could like and share it with your friends. And I'll put all the details of Ryan up in the show notes. So like and share it, review it, and so we can get this podcast up and ready for people to get an opportunity to find men like this guy. Thanks, Ryan, for jumping on.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate your time, because time is so valuable. What we'd love you guys to do, if you like this podcast, if you could share it with your friends, and also our website address for the podcast is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com. Our website is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We have a free Facebook group called Wellness Leadership Evolution, so search for that. I'd love it if you could add me as a friend on Facebook. I don't bite, so add me as a friend. And if you want some help and you would really like some support from us in the Academy, jump in. We have a process. You can do a break-in call to connect in with us. We do small courses. We have lots of things that we share. So we'd love the opportunity to give you a chance to change your life and turn it into a free one. You are one transformation away from change. Come and catch up.